Have you lost the connection with your higher self? Are you noticing the dis-ease of the outside world? It's time to reconnect with nature and each other and raise our consciousness, vibration, and frequency. Together we can create a world of peace and abundance. It's Spiritual Revolution Radio with your host, Dr. Will Miller.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiritual Revolution Radio. I'm Dr. Will Miller with the Life by Design Institute. And today I have Myrna Goldbaum with us. She is a soulmate specialist, a palmist, a master palmist actually, and she has over 57,000 hands that she's documented. She's read palms in 94 countries. She has written 8 books. The latest is a novel based on her work as a palmist, and she attends fairs and trade shows every year, over 30 of them every year. She's on television programs, and we're just happy to have her. Welcome to the show, Myrna.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. We have a lot I want to talk about, and I'll kind of lead you down a little path today, and hopefully people will walk away with a better understanding of palmists and what they do, and definitely as a soulmate specialist, what you do. So I know you continue your work. You've been doing this for, I think, 60 plus years, if I remember, but you continue to work.
Actually 10 when I started.
Really, 10. So how do you keep going? What's your driver?
Well, I like it. And if you like something and it was an avocation, then it became my career. So now I can't stop. When I turned 80, I was going to quit, give it up, and I'm 81. I can't give it up. I still have fun with it.
I love that you're doing it. It's I really am excited to have you on the show and ask you just some great questions that are I'm thinking about. And I was actually talking to a couple of people about the show today, and they started asking me questions. So I started adding to my list of questions. So hopefully in the time we have, I'll be able to ask them all. I know you read palms on your computer, on the air. Tell me how that works. How do you read someone's palm that way?
Well, people all over the world can either take a picture of their palm when it's on the internet. They can take it with their phone, they can Xerox it and email it to me, whatever they want. So what happens is it comes into my email and I study it. I go magnifier right up to the screen. I pay attention to each line and I write about a 5-page to a 6-page report.
Oh, wow.
Then I send it to them. I either email it or snail mail it, and I use PayPal. So that's how I was able to do it all over the world.
So how did you get into palm reading? What brought you to that?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I was stopped after school to get a ride home with my mother, who was a nurse in a little small hospital in Dayton, Ohio. And when I got there, she had to stay for 8 hours because the next shift never showed up. So I got noisy, and she was bothered with my, nagging her, let's go home, I don't want to stay. So she said, sit down here and read this book. And she grabbed a book on palmistry off of the volunteer wagon, but she didn't look at the title. She just grabbed me any old book and said, sit down and read it. So I sat there and read that book all that time. She gave me dinner somewhere in the middle, but I read the book and I learned from that. I taught myself.
Excellent. And when did you start reading other people's palms and
Well, when I was in high school, I got about 50% right. But the boys would all run up to me and say, are we going to win the football game? And I say, let me see your hand. I don't know. I got a lot of dates that way. But I really didn't start reading until I was about 20. So, I was married, and then I would do married couples when you get together for dinners. Then I started doing people at work, before work, after work, on my lunch hours, and then it just mushroomed.
And then you started writing books about it, and on, it sounds like.
The first book I wrote was in 1996. It came out in 97, and I have it right here. It was called May I See Your Hand? And this is the book. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
There. And it's me on the cover reading somebody. So that book is a how-to, and I wrote it because it just poured out of me. I had to write it. and it took 1 hour. And you can't write a book in an hour. But at that time, I didn't know the word channeled. And what it meant was it came straight from God into my head. I wrote it longhand, and I had a book.
So I'm curious. I've never had my palm read. So what can you tell me or a person by reading my palm?
Okay. First, take both hands and fold them up in front of you like this. Just put your hands together. Now let me see. Which thumb is on top, the left or the right?
My right thumb.
Okay, are you right-handed?
I am.
Then you're normal.
Oh, well,
okay, my left comes on top first, which means I was born left-handed. My mother switched me and I became a righty. So that's the first thing I do. Then I look at the 5 basic lines. And the kind of palmistry that I do is not Hindu-Indian. It's Oriental. It comes from China. And so what I look at is the lifeline, the love line, which is also soulmate, the work line, reproduction, and the bracelets. And when I see all 5 of those, then there's a million miscellaneous marks or symbols, and I look at those. So the question is, what would I tell you? I could tell you how you came down the birth canal. If you had childhood illnesses, if you have a back trouble today, if you're having trouble sleeping, what your longevity potential is, not how long you're going to live, but what the gene pool you come from is. Then the love line shows every single thing that impacts your brain is going to show up on the hand. So if your first love was at 16 or 19, it's going to show up there. Then if you got married and stayed married, it shows that. If you have a divorce or broken engagements, all that's on there.
Wow. I should have sent you a picture of my palm before we started. So
you should have sent me a copy.
So you
I
could
could
see
have
all
looked
this.
at it, yeah. Then the work line has to do with if a person's in a career path, if they're going the right direction, if they're going to get passed over in a promotion, if they're going to get the promotion, all kinds of things having to do with work. Then reproduction is a potential that a person has that they could have, boys or girls, and how many. Doesn't mean that's how many a person has, but that means that's what could come into this world. Then on top of all that, we have the bracelets, which are right here on the wrist. And every ring here, every row, is worth 25 years. So I tell people, throw your elbow on your stomach, put your elbow up against you, your elbow, throw your hand out in front of your face, bend it up towards your nose, and squeeze. And you should see a bunch of rows right there.
Oh, yeah.
See a bunch of rows?
Yeah.
Like stripes?
Yeah.
Striping. So if a person's supposed to live to the 90s, they will have 3.5 rows there. If they're supposed to go to 100, it's going to be 4 rows. So that's your gene pool also, but it has to do with your strength and your vitality and your health altogether, all those years that you've lived.
Does it matter whether it's right or left hand?
Yeah, I read the hand that God dealt you when you were born, so you're a righty.
So it would be
my
my right
case,
hand.
I have to do both because
I was noticing on my wrist when I do that, you said to do that, my right hand has more lines than my left.
Okay.
So.
Well, the right one is the real one for you.
Okay.
And the left one is what we wish. It's called utopia. And I never look in the other hand because we all wish for the same thing. Everybody wants to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, right?
Well, at least
go on vacation.
At least happy, you would think, right?
Right.
So you're talking about all these things you can read. So how did you then go from reading these palms to a soulmate specialist, and kind of tell me how that works, how you can tell that.
Well, I used to live in Denver, Colorado, or near Denver, and I did a big fair there where 100,000 people came in a 3-day period. And a reporter came, got in my line, and I had long lines that went way out from the tent. And he finally got up to me and he goes, "Oh, I got the love psychic." And I didn't like that name. So I decided what I talk about is soulmates more than anything. So instead of being the love psychic, and I don't like the word psychic with what I do because I think it's scientific and it's not woo-woo.
Right.
So I decided that I would be the soulmate specialist.
So
and that name stuck.
How do you tell? Tell me how that works. I mean, by looking at my palm, how could you say I have a soulmate or don't have a soulmate or yeah, tell me.
If you look by the wrist of your hand, let's see, right here, kind of in the right on your palm, going from the wrist towards the center a little bit. Okay. If you see a pyramid shape, take a look, or a diamond shape or a ball or any kind of symbol right there. Mine's a
pyramid.
You see a pyramid?
Uh-huh.
That's good, because that's the left side and the right side of a person where they tie the knot or they become one. So it doesn't mean it could be a mother and child. It could be two men or two women. It doesn't mean sexual. We're talking about connecting. Mm-hmm. And a connection is where two people, I believe in reincarnation. So you knew somebody in the past life back there, and reincarnation is where you get your soulmate.
So you knew them in the previous life, and in this life, you're connecting with them again, if you will.
And you might have, and every time we come back, your sex changes. So you're the male, female, female. So let's say last time you were the girl and you were grandma, but grandpa died and you didn't get to the hospital and goodbye. This time you're not grandma, but you have that memory implant inside you. And that memory kicks in when you meet grandpa. Get it?
I get it. So how do you bring soulmates together then?
Well, I can look at a person's hand and see what they need, or if they're with their soulmate, or if they're arguing all the time. I say, you came together to make two beautiful babies, but now it's time to let go. So I never tell people what to do exactly. I just show them the potential that's there. I like to guide and help people that are in a quandary where their mind is going, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So I put a lot of people together. I've had to give a lot of wedding present checks out.
Well, that kind of brings me to what I was just going to ask is so I'm not with anyone right now. I'm not in a committed relationship. So how do you tell me about a soulmate if it's me in this position?
Well, I have to look at your hand, what you need, because we're all needy. Everybody uses everybody for something, right? You use somebody for money. You use them for support. You use them for friendship, whatever it is, where it's a give and take thing. So I look and see what a person's missing or what they need. And then I think about, who do I know that I could introduce you to? Not long distance, I can't do it, but that's why they called me the soulmate specialist, because I have scrapbooks this fat full of wedding invitations that were from people that I put together because I used to know a lot of people.
How many?
But I moved to Florida 6 years ago, so I lost a lot of contacts.
Yeah. So how many people have you put together?
How many have I put together?
Yeah.
Over 3,000 people, which is 1,500 couples.
That's awesome. So
that's pretty many.
Another thing just came to mind. So say I'm with someone and you read my palm and you read the person I'm with palm and I'm not their soulmate.
Well, I don't have you both in the same room at the same time. So I might say to you, you need to play this out and see where it goes. It's all common sense. So if it's your soulmate, you would know. And if you have doubts or questions, it probably isn't. So I met my husband. We have one date. I'm waiting for the second one. We're celebrating 25 years in March. We never had a second date. He moved in and stayed on. We got married 3 years later. So that's because you just know. We all have little antennae. They're right up here.
Yeah.
And you can pick out, or your system picks up energy. And everything's energy.
Sure. Everything.
So you pick it up and your system goes, I found home, and that's the one.
So, and you can tell me by looking at my palm if that's my soulmate, though.
I can tell if you've ever had one. We have more than one. I look at past lives, see how many times you've been here, and I'll just tell you where the past lives are. I have this diagram here. I don't know if you can see it. Here's my diagram.
Okay.
And underneath, this is what I call the lifeline, the line that starts on the baby finger side and goes across. But the gushy area underneath your fingers right here
Okay.
I count the striping. And if you have normal is 4 to 7, some people have 60, some people have 10. It's all different. So every past life is another lifetime that you were here where you could have had a soulmate and maybe something happened, like the grandma and grandpa story. Or maybe you were with the soulmate and then something caused you to split, but you find each other in this lifetime.
So there's hope for people that have been in lots of relationships, then, is what you're saying.
Well, the hardest thing in the world is a relationship, believe it or not. They're wonderful, but they're hard because you have to put the other person first. And we all like us first. Everybody likes themselves first, but you can't do that in a relationship.
Well, yeah, when you're in a relationship, you've got to both have a little give and take, don't you?
Well, the thing is, I can't tell if I can't see your hand either.
Right.
Where are you sitting right now?
Well, I'm in our studio.
No, I mean, what state or what city are you in?
I am in St. George, Utah.
St. Louis. Okay.
St. George.
St. George. Okay.
Yeah, Utah.
All right.
Oh.
So I don't know a single person there. If you were sitting in Colorado, I might be able to do something for you.
Well, so just as we talk about this, so many things come to mind. So,
well, let me just show you one other thing.
Okay.
I wrote the book called Soulmate Connections. I don't know if you can see this.
Move it. Well, it'd be my right, so your left probably. Yeah, there you go. Right there.
Okay. I wrote this book to help people, and the first 17 pages in here is so jam-packed full of information that anybody that reads that book goes out and looks for their soulmate. They know what to do.
That's awesome.
So my publisher called me up and he said, I never read a single author here. We have 900 authors. It was Infinity Publishing. So he said, but your subtitle got my attention. So it's called Soulmate Connections, but the subtitle is Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Relationships, Love, Romance, and Soulmates. So I give 15 qualities to look for in a soulmate. Most people know 4.
What are the 4 most people know?
Well, because they only know I want somebody that's compatible with me, that looks like me, that acts like me, that runs around like I do. That isn't it. It has to be a lot more than that. It has to do with integrity. It has to do with self-worth. And if the person has self-esteem, a lot of different things are in part of that. So what happens is I give you red flags to look out for, because there's a lot of mistakes and people tell fibs. Even on the internet, people will lie and they'll say, I'm 6'4" and I'm this, and this. And you meet the person and they're 5'1". Men lie, women lie. So you have to take all that with a grain of salt.
You do. So as you read, say, my palm or someone's palm, you say the report is 5-7 pages of information.
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
It's typed single spaced.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot to that. It takes me a good hour and a half to do each one. And here's the thing. Anybody that hears me on your show, I would give it to them at half price. So normally I charge 100 and I would charge 50.
Well, that's good news. You need to tell people how they get a hold of you now then, so they can do that.
So they would look at my website, which is Myrna Lou, and it's spelled MYRNALOU, just like Mary Lou. It's one word. So it's www.myrnalou.com. And on there, there's 16 pages. And if you just go up and down and look how to get a palm reading, it will tell you what my email is, how to send it to PayPal, that I need a picture of the hand you eat and write with. I usually ask for a person's age so I know where we're looking, because I don't do too good on guessing ages.
Right.
But some people are 30 in their head, like even though I'm not anywhere near 30, I think I'm 30 in my head. So some people have the energy that's really peppy and young, and other people are old before they're old. Get it?
Absolutely.
So I have to know the age so I know what I'm looking at. So when it comes across the internet, I can't feel their energy. But if I go up with the magnifier, I can get it. I get 90 to 95% right on every reading. So
yeah, I was reading that you had a 90 to 5% accuracy rating. So.
Sometimes it's 100. Some people email me back and they go, spot on, you got me all the way around. So, and some people need a little lecture or a little push out the door,
Sure.
and some people don't.
So earlier you were talking about the lines on my hand,
Okay.
starting at the top, and you said some people have like a lot of lines there.
Well, some people have a more complicated background that they come from.
Because I look at my hand, I mean, you must be looking at fine lines then, or do you look at?
You have a lot of lines. Well, it's like a blueprint, or it's like a map. And of course, there's going to be heavier lines and not so heavy lines.
Right.
When a newborn baby is born, their hand is this big. It's a little tiny thing. And it has a lifeline, love line, work, reproduction, and bracelets already on there. But the baby grows up and has experiences, and each one of those that are life-threatening or life excitement to that baby is going to mark on the hand, and I can decipher it.
Yeah, in doing that, I look at my hand and I kind of stretch it out. And I mean, there's probably 3 lines that are really distinctive, right?
No, that's right.
And then,
so one is the lifeline that starts on the baby finger side.
Okay.
And it runs across to underneath the finger before the index finger.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Then the next line that's more important starts on the thumb side, and that would be the love line. And that one goes down towards the middle of the hand, and it usually will have the fork, and then it might have other stuff. And then that one could go all the way across the hand, down the middle, meander, start, stop. Right. No two people are alike. In fact, your 2 hands aren't even alike.
No, mine are totally different when I look at them.
Right. So is everybody's.
Yeah, and mine does fork off, like you say, but the forks are both distinctive lines, and the one fork goes down to the top of the pyramid.
A fork is where 2 people come together. They march to the same drummer's beat, and then it's not there anymore. So it either means a divorce, a split, somebody died. That's how you can tell.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And really, those are the distinctive lines. Of course, as I go more towards...
Then the work lines,
yeah,
pretty distinctive. But it would start on the thumb. If you look at your hand, there's a crease right here. The thumb has a crease.
Right.
We all were born with that crease.
Yeah.
We don't get to count that. But from the crease to the middle of your hand is age 10 to 50. And then the other side of that, called the heel this is called the heel of your palm here. On the other side is from 51 forever, whatever it goes to. And work lines show up there. So I could tell if a person went up the ladder, if they had 8 jobs and they can't hold a job. If somebody's lazy, I don't call them lazy. I just say, so you're kind of laid back. You haven't got the ambition that some people have. That's why I said they need to push out the door a little bit. I have to help them.
Right.
So I motivate people.
That's awesome. This is great information you're sharing. So again, it's Myrna Lou, right? MYRNALOU.com.
My email, if anybody wanted it, is Palmist, PALMIST, @MyrnaLou.com.
And so they can either go to your website to get to and hit the tabs to get the reading, or
right, and
or
tell
email
me that
you.
They saw me or they heard me on your show.
Okay.
I would give them a 50% break on the price.
Excellent.
Even though it still takes me an hour and a half. That's how I track what happens with each show that I'm on.
That's awesome for everybody. And then so people do that, and then they just send you a picture or a copy of their hand?
They sent me a picture of the hand that they eat and write with. So if they're right-handed, I want that hand. If they're left-handed, maybe they're an artistic or they're musical, but I need the hand that they eat with and that they write the most. Some people are ambidextrous.
Right.
I still need the one that they're prominent, the most dominant hand.
I gotcha. Well, we're out of time. Again, it's MyrnaLou.com, everyone. Please go there. You'll get 50% off your palm readings. everyone, it's been a great show. Thank you so much for
Thank
showing
you
up
so
today.
much for having me.
Thanks. Hey, everyone, it's time for a new peace movement. We're here and committed to the knowledge. We're here and committed to raising your frequency and vibration, changing your life code. Knowledge is power, and it frees the mind and sets the soul free. I'm Dr. Will Miller. I want you to check out my wife. Boy, at the end, I just fell apart. I'm at Life by Design Institute, or you can comment at spiritualrevolutionradio.com, or to be a guest, reach me at spiritualrevolution.radio.com. We'll get
this
it.
Has
Love
been
and peace,
Spiritual
everyone.
Revolution Radio with Dr. Will Miller. For more information or to be a guest, please visit lifebydesign.institute. Join us next week for another edition of Spiritual Revolution Radio with your host, Dr. Will Miller. This has been a production from a podcast studio.